talk about today is government culture. Now, in our business, when new team members come on board, I sit down with them to take them through our value systems, mindset principles, and I also tell them, by the way, I'm not your government boss. And I get to see some very interesting expressions, generally good ones. But before I tell you about government culture, let me build some scenarios for you, and I want you to do a little bit of imagining here. So I want you to imagine that you are working in Richard Branson's business, okay? And let's say you are senior sales manager in his business. You need to discuss the forecast, the sales forecast for the next year. And it's quite important because there are a few things which you're not clear about and you have some thoughts on, and you need to sit down with him. So let's imagine scenario A, okay? Scenario A is where you open the door of his office and you say, "Got a minute, Richard?" And Richard Branson says, "Yeah, walk in." And you sit down and you just have a chat with him. You tell him what's going on in your mind and some issues that you're thinking about and yeah, just a lot of things. And you start talking about some other things 1, 2, 3, lots of stuff is being just discussed. And Richard says, "Listen, do one thing, leave it with me and I'll come back to you with my thoughts." That's scenario A. Scenario B is where you say, "Okay, I need to discuss the sales forecast for the next year, so let me see Richard's diary," and you book a nice 30 minutes or 45 minutes of session with Richard, and you send him obviously the invite, he knows about it, and you tell him that this is about the sales forecast of the next year, and you also send him the pre-read because he needs to look at some of the figures to be well informed of the discussion in advance. So you send him some pre-read, and you yourself, you're pretty well prepared and you take proper notes, think of all the possible scenarios, and you've thought it through, and then you get into this meeting. Now in that meeting, you're focusing on sales forecast for the next year. And Richard and you're having good discussion, he's asking you lots of good questions and you're coming up with the answers to the possible options of looking at that situation. And he's asking you questions like, "So what do you think about this? So what are the pros and cons of doing this?" So a lot of brainstorming happening, but he's the one who's asking questions. And with that question asking technique, actually you have come up with some really good answers for yourself. He has also built on top of that, and by the end of like 45 minutes or 30 minutes, yeah, there's good clarity, you've got good inputs from Richard Branson's, and you're done with your meeting and you go out of his office. What do you think is a probable scenario? Scenario A, got a minute, Richard? Or scenario B, where you are very well prepared for this meeting? I can pretty much say that you have chosen scenario B. Okay, I just want you to pause just for a second and think it through. Say, what scenarios happen in your business? Is it, "Got a minute, boss?" Or does your team come to you with good preparation, with pre-planning, with proper meetings set in your diary, where you are asking good questions because you're pretty well informed before the meeting, so that you can ask good quality questions, and by the time meeting finishes, it's not like, "I'll think about it, leave it with me," but team knows exactly what they have to do. They go back with clear sense of direction and execution. Think this through. And the only thought I want to leave with you is, listen, I know each one of us as business owners, we are in the process of building a big business. But while we are in this process of building a big business, remember one thing, you and I, we need to behave in a true sense like a big business. Your time is as important as Richard Branson's time, and you are the first person who will treat it like that. And that's when your team and other people start treating your time as a valuable resource.